The Maldives is in the news and for all the wrong reasons. Its ties with India have nosedived. By now, you must have seen these beach shots of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi from India's Lakshadweep Islands. These harmless shots have triggered a major row between India and the Maldives. And as a result, the Maldives is facing boycott calls and is losing out on tourists from India. Tourism is a major source of income for the country. Now, there is a lot of information out there, but how many of us know the backstory? The real villain in the story, you see, is China. It has its hand in peddling anti-India disinformation and seating a stooge at the highest office of power, all to fulfill its vested interests in the region. Hello and welcome. My name is Gambhir, and in this edition of Gravitas Plus, we will get you the real story of this China campaign. This is how the latest row erupted. Just a month after the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with the Maldives' newly elected president, Mohammad Muizzu, ties have seen a rapid decline. Just take a look at the headlines. A war of words started when Prime Minister Modi pitched for tourism in the Lakshadweep Islands. And this somehow offended some in Muizzu's government. 3 Maldivian deputy ministers took their apparent grievances public. They passed disparaging remarks about the Indian Prime Minister and Indians in general. Soon, what started off as a controversy online spilled into the real world. Although the Maldivian government distanced itself and suspended the 3 Maldivian deputy ministers, the damage was done. What followed were calls for the boycott of the Maldives, a massive dip in the Indian tourist count to the island nation, players in the travel industry suspended bookings. Let's just go back in time for now. You see, over the past decade, Chinese diplomats have been increasingly active here. Just take a look at the map. The Maldives is in a key shipping lane which feeds China's economy. India has traditionally held influence over the Maldives. For decades, India has been a net security provider for the Maldives. Defense ties have been characterized by a series of agreements and on-ground support. Since the foiling of a coup attempt in 1988, India has maintained a steady presence in the Maldives. New Delhi has provided defense training, equipment, and assistance. In fact, India played a crucial role in bolstering the Maldives' defense as well as national security. Even in the late 2000s, while Sri Lanka increasingly turned to China, the Maldives stuck with India. But then China started expanding its presence. In 2011, it set up its first embassy in the Maldives. It was part of a broader policy to expand its operations and sphere of influence in the Indian Ocean. In 2013, with the election of the President Abdullah Yamin, who is now in prison on charges of corruption, China-Maldives ties soared. His alignment with China came as the Maldives lost its developing nation status, which meant that it could not rely on international aid. For Yamin then, China became one of the closest friends, most trusted allies. And China threw around big money. It allowed the local politicians to skim off the top. It helped both sides. Chinese loans bankrolled some development projects in the Maldives, like the extension of the electricity grid, the construction of new apartments, and the expansion of the airport. Military ties also increased. In 2017, Mali gave permission to 3 Chinese warships to dock there. Most importantly, it is under Yamin's regime that the Maldives joined the China flagship program, the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. The Indian Ocean region surrounding the Maldives has been the focus for the Chinese President Xi Jinping, who has extended the Maritime Silk Route project, which is a branch of the BRI there. It boasts of committing over $1 trillion for infrastructure projects, including select projects in the Maldives. The real Chinese design is this: to make the Maldives the new addition to its string of pearls. Besides serving Chinese geo-economic ambitions, it is a strategy intended to put strategic pressure on India. to checkmate India's influence on the neighbors. And to do that, it is courting India's neighbors. Not only India's immediate neighbors, other island nations in the Indian Ocean, like Mauritius and Seychelles, have also been lured to join the Chinese project. How? It's very simple. Step 1, identify and lure the self-serving political and military leadership of these countries. And step 2, gain access to their seacoasts and lands. The Maldives, well, it could be the new pearl in the string. Reports say that Marao Atoll in the Maldives has also been identified as a potential Chinese military base. China saw an opportunity with the anti-India regime of Moizu. In fact, the pro-China, anti-India discourse was amplified in the run-up to the elections in the Maldives. China-funded infrastructure projects were promoted. The current ruling coalition came to power by selling lies about India and equating the pro-China stance as a nationalist one. It has further opened up avenues for China there. Since coming to power, Moizu has demanded the immediate removal of Indian troops. The Maldivian president also visited China before India after taking office. The two countries have also upgraded ties right in the middle of the Maldives' diplomatic spat with India. These are all signs that China now entrusts Moizu to carry forward China's policy line. China is in no mood to stop. It will now want the Maldives to completely stop all India-funded defense projects. It will want the Maldives to stop India from maintaining its coastal radar system. All this so China can conduct surveys in the Maldivian waters, which traditionally was done by India. As I mentioned earlier, speculation is rife about China's plan to develop a naval base in the Maldives. Already, China's so-called research ships are mapping the Indian Ocean floor. These Chinese vessels are hard at work. They are conducting sweeping surveys of the undersea floor. They are collecting data with one goal: submarine warfare. China's oceanographic surveys in the waters of friendly nations pose potential conflict points. India is cognizant of China's intentions. The question is, can the Maldives really afford to alienate India? The Maldives, with its heavy dependence on imports, gave China an opportunity to grant loans to the country. There are concerns that the Maldives could find itself in a debt trap in the near future. Surely they know that the enduring regional and geopolitical importance of India means that Mali would do well to keep its ties with India healthy.